Metro traffic at the time?
Brad Richards.
Brad? Good morning and welcome to the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. As it has been affirmed, St. Barnabas Health System has developed into a visionary leader in the healthcare industry through compassionate and quality care. In 1900, St. Barnabas opened as a charitable nursing home. There are now 3 campuses in Beaver County, Allegheny County, and Butler County. The St. Barnabas Health System includes 3 luxurious retirement living communities, 5 living assistance properties, a skilled nursing home, and extensive memory care services. Additionally, its own medical center has a world-class doctor and dentistry teams where patients can receive a full range of services under one roof. Full rehabilitation, home care, and hospice services are operated out of the medical center. Bearing witness to its founder's reminder, God is able, men and women are invited to join St. Barnabas in the work of continuing Christian caring, healing, and teaching. St. Barnabas continues to offer trusted healthcare services to both its residents and the community. The objective of our radio show is to introduce you to successful individuals who are making a difference in the greater Pittsburgh region. Our guest this morning is Shannon Debes, Community Liason Officer for Shell Pennsylvania Chemicals and Shell Polymers. Good morning, Shannon.
Good morning, Mike. How are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
Doing well,
Very
thank
good.
you.
I like your blazer. I like the
thank
little
you.
logo on there. Very good. How long have you been with Shell?
I have been with Shell for 10 years this year, and it's hard to believe everything's gone by so fast.
Yeah, because a lot of people in Beaver County, Shell, and they think of the cracker plant, and 4 years ago maybe, and that's what they do. How did you work for Shell? Did they have a local component? Were they in the Pittsburgh area for a number of years since you've been with them for 10?
Shell was actually in the area doing upstream work, and I know we'll talk a little bit about what the differences between upstream, midstream, and downstream a little later. But Shell did have a small upstream arm here before they ever looked at the area to potentially locate the petrochemical facility that'll be operational this year. But I didn't know anyone at Shell. I actually found out about the opening for the position from a friend of mine who said, "Hey, did you happen to see this?" And I hadn't seen it to that point, so that prompted me to take a look into the role, what it was about. And I had some hesitation at first, given some historic work that I had done with communities and some of the challenges that some of those communities faced with oil and gas companies. But looking into the way Shell approached communities really encouraged me to want to apply for that job.
So this is a commercial for networking because you didn't even know about it and somebody told you about it. And there you got the job and have been employed happily for 10 years. You're from Western Pennsylvania.
I am. I was born and raised outside, just outside of the city in Ross Township, and I came here to Beaver County to go to Geneva College. And once I had an opportunity to spend time here and really enmesh myself in the community and get to know the people, the people here are tremendous. So I wanted to raise a family here. And aside from one small little foray to Somerset County, I was there for a little bit to start my first job in broadcasting. I haven't really left the area since. So I came back to the Pittsburgh area, worked as a radio news reporter and traffic reporter for a while. And then from there, segued into campaign management and speech writing. And from there, kind of left the politics of all of that aside and was really excited just to work with communities on community planning issues. And that's what I was doing when this opportunity surfaced.
So aside from your work with Shell, you were a glutton for punishment throughout your career in politics and radio and the media.
Yeah, there's certainly elements of controversy that are part of those,
Yeah.
but what's really at the heart of all of that is the opportunity to work with people, to listen to people, to demonstrate care, and to help work with people to get results.
Yeah, and I know from driving on the turnpike, sometimes you get off at the wrong exit in Somerset, and they can't find you for years. Is that what happened to you?
Only in a really severe snowstorm.
Is
Yeah.
that what it was all about? So very good. And you mentioned before the air that we kind of worked together for a little while at KDKA.
Yes, and that was an incredible opportunity. So, in true Western Pennsylvania fashion, we always find each other some way, somehow, someday.
Okay, great. And so Geneva College, and I'm starting to figure out a little bit, there's some kind of connection here with all this Geneva College. Josh Kale was on with us this morning. He's
Yep.
a Geneva grad.
Fellow
You're a Geneva
alum.
grad.
Yes.
Matt's a Geneva grad. Matt Durzik. Mark Peterson is a Geneva grad. What is going on here? Must be a good
really good
college.
things.
Yeah.
Really good things with challenging professors.
Yeah.
That's what's going on there.
Very good. Now, you mentioned when you went to Shell, you had some reservations. You were, involved with communities in the past, and so to get involved with a company like Shell may have raised antenna on you, but you found out in the long run that it's a very responsible company to work for.
Absolutely. What I was able to research when I was deciding will I or won't I apply was Shell's social performance practices. And what that means is just how Shell cares for the community, keeping people safe, protecting the environment, being a good neighbor. And that was evident in the things that I read. I saw this was a practice encouraged around the world and would have global colleagues to be able to refer back to for that. And so no matter where you go, that's the mindset and the mentality of folks. And I really wanted to be a part of that, especially if a major project at that time could potentially, there was no final investment decision for it, could potentially locate to the area. So I wanted to be on the front seat of that, and knowing that was going to be the approach was very encouraging.
It's funny you say that because I can remember leading up to the decision, and it was like months and months, and we would be reporting, the Shell has not made an announcement, and we'd contact the commissioners, and they say, nothing yet, but we're keeping our fingers crossed. So they were very careful about their research for the region and whether or not this would be a good fit.
Absolutely, and when our folks came to the area in 2011 and started, looking around the area, if you'll recall, they were looking in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia. What Shell was really looking for at that time is what I call the 3 R's, and ideally an A. So it's river, road, rail, and air. So of course, where our site is located in Potter Township, we're right on the banks of the Ohio River, right next to I-376 and the bridge by the Beaver Valley Mall. So it's very easy to get onto Route 18 and I-376. In true community fashion, Shell was thinking we don't want to have to drive through neighborhoods for trucking or things of that nature. And so it is, directly onto the highway and out. We do have truck routes that go through the area. I know we have one right behind us right now, but really wanted to try to avoid that. And even with that, thinking one step further, reducing the truck volumes that we have and really putting most of the transport that we'll have to rail. And so that rail line was really important with CSX right behind us as well, or going right through the site. So we have Ohio, CSX, 18 and 376, plus Pittsburgh International Airport. You can't beat it.
It's amazing as you drive on 376 across the Vanport Bridge, and we've been watching this developed for a couple of years now. It's turned into a small city. Maybe not such a small city, a very big city over there. And then I was coming back from Monaco one day and looked over to my right, and I didn't realize you put in all those rails for train traffic. It looks like it could compete with Conway Yards.
We have the capacity. We'll have about 800 cars on site that will be a regular part of our activities. And yeah, the daily construction worker count at its peak reached past 8,500. So if it feels like a small city, that's certainly bigger than some community populations here. But we will be decreasing that count slowly as we get toward operation. Our operational level will be about 600 workers.
And that's what's been said all along.
Yes.
So it's nothing new that these construction workers are now packing up and moving on, and the jobs will be about 600 there. From hearing the local leaders, the commissioners and whatnot, they have been very satisfied with Shell and the production, the construction, with hopes of the future and ancillary businesses and whatnot. From Shell's point of view, has this been a good fit? Has it lived up to all the expectations?
Absolutely, and we are so proud to bring our leaders here and introduce them to the community. It's very easy to get a sense, and it's helped me to appreciate my community all over again, to have these outside perspectives from leaders talking about the work ethic of our folks here, the hospitality, the quality of life, and the amenities that are around that sometimes we take for granted, and hearing someone else come in and share that just reaffirms, what we sense internally and knew all along.
And the plant name, I refer to it as the cracker plant. What does Shell refer to it as?
We call it a petrochemical facility,
Okay.
but we certainly understand that folks will call it a cracker plant due to the process that's in there. So the name of the facility now, Shell Pennsylvania, or Pennsylvania Chemicals, kind of notes that we have a variety of companies who have helped to work to build this facility along with us. So Great Arrow Builders, Bechtel, Jacobs. So we want to honor that as the one team and have called it Pennsylvania Chemicals during construction. During operations will be Shell Polymers Monaca.
Okay.
And what that speaks to is polymers comes from polymerization, which is the process by which our product, polyethylene, will be made.
Okay. Now, Shell Monaca, what do the people in Hookstown say about it?
Well, and we get a lot of the cracker plant too, because as we manufacture, the first step in the process is taking the ethane that's brought onto site and heating it until it cracks and changes chemical composition. So that's where the name cracker comes from.
Yeah, we always hear and only envision it because I don't know, and I think a lot of people in the listening audience don't know. Well, then they're going to make those little styrofoam balls that you see in like toy or stuffed animals or things like that. What is exactly going to happen?
Sure, so it's actually polyethylene pellets. So polyethylene isn't styrofoam, that's a different type of, polystyrene is a different type of plastic. But polyethylene comes directly from ethane. So what happens is off-site, we take ethane and bring it in via pipeline. Ethane has already been separated from natural gas, so it's natural gas liquid. We heat it, it cracks, it changes chemical composition, becomes ethylene, goes through another process, becomes polyethylene. Now those polyethylene pellets, it's like a hard, it comes out like a hard plastic pellet. It makes hard plastic, HDPE number 2, that you can like kind of knock on, like my case here is probably polyethylene plastic, and the softer plastic, LLDPE number 4, that's soft and flexible. And there's multiple grades of that, dozens of grades between those two types of plastic, and that's what we'll be making.
And we're going to take a break here in a minute, but in the production end of things, what kind of workers are you looking for?
We did just recently have a post for production operators that went out, and one of our major contractors, PSC, was looking for rail workers.
Okay, very good. And it's not Polythene Pam, as you might remember from the Beatles songs. We are talking today with Shannon Debes, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
That's correct.
From Shell Polymers?
Shell Polymers, yeah.
Okay, there you go. It's the best of Beaver County. We'll continue our conversation and find out more. And if you're looking for a job, maybe you'll be the next employee for Shell. From the best of Beaver County on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. Of the many things that make St. Barnabas Health System apart from the ordinary is an appreciation for their employees, an act that does not go unnoticed. Let's learn more about what this means from one of their employees.
Hello, my name is Emily Tahansky. I am thankful for being able to help people in my job, whether I'm teaching an aerobics class that keeps residents active, maintaining the pool for all to enjoy, or helping residents explore the next level of care needed for their safety. It feels wonderful to be a positive in many ways.
Find out about the exceptional career opportunities St. Barnabas has to offer by visiting stbarnabashealthsystem.com/careers for more information, or by calling 724-444-JOBS. That's 724-444-5627. Find out why St. Barnabas is apart from the ordinary. We're talking with Shannon Debes, Community Liaison Officer for Shell Pennsylvania Chemicals and Shell Polymers, on the Best of Beaver County radio show. And we talked about, and I've seen this online already, where there are going to be interview opportunities, and they're taking resumes and things like that at different places. I think this one was over across the line near Calcutta or something like that, East Palestine. You're doing that?
Yes, that was our contractor, our rail contractor, PSC, looking for some rail support. So those rail workers will be part of our permanent workforce on the site.
Okay. And so they'll be loading and unloading the trains, or directing them, or something like that?
I think there were a few different positions that they were looking for.
And I saw where it even says on the thing, pay between $17 and $19 an hour or something like that.
Yeah, it may have. I didn't have a chance to see quite the ad that you were looking at, but I do know that they had that event in East Liverpool.
So you're not looking for a job, so you don't care
No,
whether it's 17
I've got
or 19?
mine.
Very good. And what do you want people to know about employment with Shell?
It's a wonderful opportunity. It's an incredible company to work with and work for. Yeah, it's certainly, I've been pleased the past 10 years working with them. I was a contractor myself up until 2018, and was only hired on then. And that comes with, the decision-making process. Like you said before, it felt like forever that between the time Shell declared interest in the site till we said we had a final investment decision. I was only brought on after we had that decision.
Now, most of us, we're still trying to figure out the Beaver, the Ohio, and the Allegheny. You had mentioned upstream, downstream, midstream. What's all that about?
Sure. So with those are different oil and gas development phases. So upstream phase is the very first phase where the natural resource is taken out of the ground, then the mid, and that's also called production. Some folks may have heard it referenced to as that. Midstream is where that product is separated and transported. So for us, the ethane will be separated from natural gas and transported, and for us it'll be transported through our Shell Falcon ethane pipeline. It's 97 miles of pipeline. The sources are in Ohio, Scio and Cadiz, and our ethane comes to us in that way. So that's midstream function, and then downstream is what we will be doing directly on site. So our manufacturing process is the downstream aspect of that development.
Okay, so we'll see barges, but you said a lot of it is coming through a pipeline, but will there be barges involved? And you already said trains. The stuff that comes through the pipeline will get into the trains at some point, or how's that work?
Sure. So I'll share how that works. All of our ethane will come through the pipeline, and that comes into us. So once things are manufactured, that solid polyethylene pellet product will go out on rail. For barges, what we really needed the river for, and what we'll need it for in the future, was really moving some of the large modules that we had that became a part of our plant on site. Really huge pieces, like a 171-ton turbine from Elliott Group in Jeanette, Westmoreland County. So that came to us on the river. And then once we're operational for a while, and it's time to do a check that's called a turnaround. It's a regular preventative checkup that happens about every 3 to 5 years. We will potentially be using the river and barging then, but none of our product goes on barges. It's all contained via rail and via a very tight prescribed process to make sure that that product stays where it's supposed to be and goes where it's supposed to go.
How much was the contract for this whole thing valued at?
There's not been any number that Shell has released, but several media sources have labeled it within the billions. Multi-billion-dollar project.
All right. And in terms of how long did it take? Now I'm thinking 4 years, 5 years, 6 years to construct.
Actual construction, I think our vertical build, as we call it, officially began at the end of 2017. So
Okay.
it's been a multi-year process. And prior to that, we had early works. So that was just the process of making everything a pad-ready development site. That took years.
Okay. And you were talking about rails and barges, but you also brought equipment in from helicopters.
Yeah, maybe thinking about, I think Duquesne Light may
Oh,
have
they had
done
to do
some
some-
rewiring
to get it over
around,
there.
yeah, get
Yeah.
it around and through the site. So we
Okay,
had
you-
the pleasure of working with them. They were
You're
great.
probably a pretty good customer for Duquesne Light then.
Actually, this is an interesting little fact. So we are able to generate our own power on site. We have what we call the cogen, or a cogeneration unit. And we are able to generate enough power for our site and then a surplus to sell it back to the grid.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, we're our own power
Sell
source.
it back to Monaca or anything like that. Can they get cheap electricity?
It goes to a wholesale grid.
Okay. Okay, very good. So now that the construction phase is pretty much over, who's going to maintain the plant?
So Shell will, of course, we're operating the plant day to day, but AECOM won the award to maintain our plant back in 2019.
Okay.
So I know some folks were thinking would be operational pretty quickly after that, but with projects of this magnitude, sometimes that can take some time.
Sure, and what did, I mean, Shell probably has some pretty high standards for them to win that contract.
Absolutely, very much. There's a multi-point check that comes with every contractor to make sure that they can maintain our quality and safety standards.
One of the things people talked about early on was that Beaver County didn't really have folks who were work ready from educational standpoint or skills standpoint. Would that still be the case with the 600 people that will be employed, or do you find that over the last 5 years people have gone to the VOTEX and have figured out how to take these jobs?
People have absolutely taken advantage of the training opportunities that are here. So, in locating to the area, Shell realized there's incredible talent with incredible work ethic, but B, we also have incredible educational institutions in the area who could help assist in providing the training. So Community College of Beaver County has a process technology program that's now housed in the Shell Center for Process Technology. And we have several graduates from Community College of Beaver County who either that was their first line of training, or they were something else for several years and decided to go back to school and become an operator, and they're working with us today.
Because a lot of the people on the construction site came from different states across the country, and now they'll probably move on to another site somewhere. Would the people who are working from Beaver County and got educated for those jobs, would they move on with those jobs, or would they be able to apply for jobs here when the plant is up and operating?
There are some folks who have moved from the project, we call the project side, to the operational side with the project, but the function of an operator is a little bit different than some of the things that we needed for construction, but there are some similarities among some jobs as well.
Okay, so they won't know unless they apply for those
Absolutely.
positions.
You just
Very
need
good.
to apply and look and see what the qualifications are for as they're listed.
And that application term, we continue to make releases to the public to find out when you'll be able to apply for those jobs, and when the plant is not actually open yet, is it, or is it?
The plant is not operational right now. We're still in the construction phase. We anticipate that we'll be operational this year. And at any time, if anyone's interested, the jobs are posted in real time, and anyone who's interested can go to www.shell.us/careers.
Okay.
And if you enter Monaca as the location of interest, any open jobs we have will populate on your screen.
But they will not be taking applications for the Kabuta Hotel. It that was a landmark down there for a number of years, right?
Yes.
It was one of the things that now is just, it's going to be on one of those pages on Facebook that says Beaver County History, and there will be a picture of the Kabuta Hotel and then the Shell plant.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned history, because history of the site is really important to us, and we will have history from ancient times. As we were thoughtfully preparing the site and following state guidelines, we were able to uncover the remains of cooking fire sites from Native Americans who were there. It's been a colonial farm in time that had the town of Bellowsville on it, and we took an opportunity to interview folks for oral histories, and sometime this year those will be made available on our website. So the oral histories, a little video that talks about some of the archaeological excavations. So for anyone who's interested in that, we'll have that available.
Wow, that would be very interesting to see. And I know at the times, sometimes the production had to stop because you had to take those artifacts out of the ground to move forward with it.
Right. We had to be thoughtful and mindful of that in our process, and we're able to connect with some great families in the region for that.
Now, and there's always the people, and we saw a recent study that somebody put out, there's always the negative side of things, or the negative opinions that are out there. Can you explain to the people the environmental concerns that you've taken care of and you've tried to address throughout the time that this construction was being done?
Sure. Well, as we mentioned earlier, the care and thought and listening and hearing what the community has to share is critically important to us, and that factors into all of our considerations with those items that the community brings forward that says, hey, this is something we're concerned about. So we've had discussions with the community on air, water, the soil. So in order for us to build on the site, we had to undertake a very large remediation effort, one of the largest in the state, in order to make the site pad ready for development, and have shared that process with the community. If we hadn't, that would have been a burden to taxpayers to clean up if we hadn't purchased the site, because no owner could be readily identified at the time that that challenge was discovered. Additionally, we've done many things on site with planting native trees, controlling invasive species.
What are native trees around here?
Things like elm and maple, and taking out things like tree of heaven.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah.
All right. Very good. And in 2022, you look forward to doing testing of the plant before it goes online?
Absolutely. That's part of our commissioning and startup process. So you may hear people throw around the acronym CSU, commissioning and startup activity. And what we do, instead of the plant going online all at one time, where it's like someone flips one switch and suddenly it's running, what we're doing right now is testing small bits and pieces and putting them online and taking them offline. And that will happen throughout the year. So we will have air blows coming up sometime toward the end of this month, we anticipate, for our ethane cracking unit, that first part of the process. We have had steam blows over time that clean our piping. We notify the community of when that's happening because it looks a little different than what folks are used to. And we also have some sound guidelines to follow within that as well. And we will be continuing to have community meetings online to let people know about this activity.
That would be important, and I suppose especially if people cross river and Van Buren Homes and Beaver along River Road there, how loud will those whistles be once the plant is operating? What are they going to notice that's different, except for the illumination from the lights over there, of course?
Yes, and we have had community meetings with Vanport, with Beaver. We've talked with officials, And we regularly talk with residents who contact us with those concerns. So we take the time to thoughtfully look into their specific requests, make sure that we have, the accurate answers to provide back to them, and that opens a dialogue on those issues.
Yeah, and it's been my experience throughout the time is that when an issue comes up or questions come up, Shell's very quick to answer them and hopefully alleviate any anxiety that people have along the way.
Thank you.
Is that
Yes.
happening in Beaver and Vanport as well now?
Yes, and in several surrounding communities. We have multiple communities that ring our site. Certainly we're seated in Potter Township. We talk with Center, Midland, Industry. Pretty much if you stand in the middle of the site and spin in a circle, you can see at least 5 different communities.
Yeah.
So we talk with everybody. And then anyone who doesn't live there, they also have the opportunity to contact us and talk, absolutely.
Well, it's impressive when you're driving and Shell paid for the roads and the moving of the roads and all that other stuff down there.
Yes.
So it seems at this point you've been a stellar community partner.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for coming in today, Shannon. We appreciate it. Appreciate you giving us the update and educating. If there's something that people need to know, whether it's about employment or anything else involved with the Shell Monaca plant, what should they do?
Yeah, so I can provide some of that contact information now, and we'll do what we can to get that on your Facebook page and live stream too. But they can email us at shellchemicalsproject@shell.com. Contact us through the Contact Us section on our webpage, shell.us/poly-e. And also contact us through Facebook Instant Messenger or call us at 844-776-5581.
And I'm sure they'll put all those numbers on the screen as we end the program. Shannon Debes, Community Liaison Officer for Shell Pennsylvania Chemicals and Shell Polymers. Thank you so much for coming in and talking with us about it.
Thank you very much for having me. It's been a
appreciate
pleasure.
it. Well, the community is interested and the community hopefully will benefit, and we look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for watching the Best of Beaver County on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. I'm Mike Romigh, and we'll see you next time. Employees working within the St. Barnabas Health System are apart from the ordinary in their work and the population they serve. Of the many things that make St. Barnabas Health System apart from the ordinary is an appreciation for their employees, an act that does not go unnoticed. Let's learn more about what this means from one of the employees.
Hi, my name is Anne Marie Sandor, and I'm a nurse practitioner at St. Barnabas Health System. I'm blessed to be an employee of St. Barnabas. As a nurse practitioner, I strive to maintain optimal health of residents and staff here at the facility.
Find out about the exceptional career opportunities St. Barnabas has to offer by visiting stbarnabashealthsystem.com/careers for more information or by calling 724-444-JOBS. That's 724-444-5627. Find out why St. Barnabas is apart from the ordinary.
Thank you for listening to the Best of Beaver County. St. Barnabas is pleased to have provided content and sponsorship for the program. Tune in this Sunday at 11:30 for an encore presentation of today's program on Beaver County Radio. And next Thursday at 11 for another edition of the Best of Beaver County on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.